Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to this special pre-release review for the brand new Mike Tramp Songs of White Lion Volume 2. So this one here, follow-up to 2023's Volume 1. Now we're getting this fantastic second release. I'm so excited for it. Comes out on August 23rd of 2024. And if you're watching this on the day that is being released here, you've only got 4 weeks to wait, so not too long. We're also going to take a look at the vinyl edition of this. So two great formats to talk to you guys about, a full review and unboxing. And I want to thank Frontiers Records for putting this out because these things are so good and so much fun. And as I said, I'm going to dive into that here in just a bit. But if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things do help support my channel. Of course, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you turn on notifications, you're never going to miss an episode, especially like this, with a special pre-release review for the brand new Mike Tramp Songs of White Lion Volume 2. All right, so I want to jump back a little bit and give you some history here, not just on White Lion, of course, but Mike Tramp. He's got very interesting musical history that goes back quite a ways. So first thing though, most people who know Mike Tramp only really know him from White Lion, being a New York City band. But Mike Tramp was actually born in Denmark. He's Danish. And he got his start in 1977, so quite some period of time before White Lion and a band called Mabel. Then it followed up with a band called Studs in 1981, which is some really good stuff that he has released archival material on. And I hope he, at some point, puts out a wider release of that stuff because it's pretty classic sounding like White Lion. But then Mike relocated from Denmark to New York City in 1983, meets Vito Barata, and they form White Lion together, and that's where the real story picks up. Band released 4 studio albums during their heyday, starting with their first, Fight to Survive, in 1985, but it was a Japanese-only release. In fact, let me show you guys that album. So a lot of people didn't know this as their first album at the time. They thought the first album was this one here, which was the first in the US, Pride, from 1987. And it's where the band really broke through on. They had their top 10 Billboard Hot 100 hit, which went all the way to number 3, When the Children Cry, and it propelled Pride all the way to 1 million copies sold in the US alone. Now, their third album, Big Game, which happens to be the first album I ever picked up by the band from 1989, has my favorite song, Little Fighter. This album itself would go gold for 500,000 copies sold. But my all-time favorite album of the band is Main Attraction. So this one here, 1991. Unfortunately, with the rise of grunge and all that was going on, and just everything. Unfortunately, the band folded in 1991 as well. But, Mike, not detoured, in 1992, he formed a band, Freak of Nature, and they released 2 studio albums. He also released 1 collection of rarities. And then in 1998, he reestablished himself as a solo artist and released his debut solo album, Capricorn, which was really good and interesting. Far less of the 80s, polish and glam sound that he was known for, but it fit really well into the 90s itself and was more of a rootsy sort of folk rock kind of a thing, for which he's really continued in his solo career going forward. But the thing was, he has always maintained that passionate vocal delivery that he had with White Lion. So for me at least, Mike Tramp has always sounded like Mike Tramp, whether in White Lion or doing the other stuff that he does solo. Since then, he has released 13 more solo albums in similar vein. I mean, that is just amazing. Most artists don't release that many albums in their entire career, and Mike has just really kept at it the whole way through. And so he did release 1 more under the White Lion name Return of the Pride in 2008, but he himself was the only original member in that. He has done another re-recording of White Lion songs in '99 called Remembering White Lion, where basically the fast songs were done slower and the slower songs sped up a little bit, kind of a thing, and done in that more rootsy folk rock sound. So in 2023, though, that's when we got the first Songs of White Lion, which now, of course, leads us to the one we want to talk about, Volume 2. And these two, very much in the same vein, but done far better, in my opinion, than this one here. While I liked these back in the day, this is the way that the songs should sound. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit more here in just a moment. So this new album, Volume 2, has 10 tracks on it, clocks in at 44 minutes. The album, as I said, continues in the vein as Volume 1. So the songs themselves, they do hold very closely to the original White Lion songs, but what they are is they're updated versions as though those songs were written today. It has less of the 80s polish and the bombast and that sort of stuff, but it does contain all the original energy. So you'll kind of be surprised listening to these things because they do sound a bit different, but yet I know they put such a big smile on my face hearing them. So there's these very sort of subtle rearrangements that are within them that kind of modernizes the songs themselves. But the big thing about this is the guitars. They are still totally present within this. As I mentioned before, all of us being huge fans of the guitar sound of White Lion, certainly thanks to Vito Bratta and what he was able to do with that. And while he's not involved in this aspect here, the guitar player, Marcus Nann, sounds amazing and does a crazy good job replicating that sound, so much so that I don't actually miss Vito Bratta. On other things, you could say, okay, where is that sound? But on both of these releases here, the guitar player does it right. And so shout out to Mike Tramp for selecting or finding such an amazing guitar player, and Marcus Nann. I really hope that they, following this release, these two releases here, one, give us a Volume 3, but after that, I hope they go and record some new original music together in this similar vein, because his guitar playing is phenomenal. And so, like the White Lion catalog itself, these songs here, I think the way that they are reinterpreted and what it is that this does for that, it's like putting a fresh coat of paint on that classic catalog. It's been around for a while. We all know the songs inside and out. But these two albums, and especially this new one here, really sort of freshens things up for us. And, a lot of bands are out doing the remix album, and that's not what this is. These are re-recorded, but they're also subtly rearranged. New things are done to them, and I think done for the better. While I still have those classics and love those, and I can go back to it. So listening to this doesn't make me want to just immediately go reach for the old ones. I actually really enjoy hearing these, and it's a nice change of pace. And, additionally with that there, Mike Tramp being, certainly a little bit older than the White Lion days, I think he sounds really good on this here. Still certainly reminiscent of the White Lion vocals that he did back in the day. And whenever I hear Mike Tramp singing anything, it's kind of like revisiting a good old friend. You hear those vocals and it just takes me right back. And hearing these new interpretation of those classic sounds does it even more than that. So I'm really, really enjoying this. As I said, this has both nostalgic, influences and things, but it's also got some new interpretations. It's something unique and different than the originals. So there's a little bit of everything within this that makes it both fun as a throwback, but also something new. And I think that is a great balance to have in any one of these kind of releases. But I want to talk about the track listing that's on this here. We all know the songs and stuff, so it's not so much about reviewing that specifically, but of the band's 4 studio albums that included Vito Bratta, where these songs are being drawn from, Only 3 of the albums are represented on this release here. So the one that is not represented is the third studio album, Big Game from 1989, which certainly got its representation over here. And none of the songs duplicate, which is also very cool. So of course, if you get both volumes, you're getting those 4 albums evenly represented. But the way it breaks down, Fight to Survive, the 1985 debut studio album, has 2 songs represented on this release, El Salvador and The Road to Valhalla. Pride from 1987 gets 3 songs represented here, Lonely Nights, Don't Give Up, and All You Need Is Rock and Roll. And Main Attraction from 1991, my favorite album, gets 5 songs. So I'm really enjoying this one for that reason. Lights and Thunder, which has a very different intro to it, and I like that about it. Till Death Do Us Part, You're All I Need, Out with the Boys, and Farewell to You. So all in all, very, very cool to be getting, all these different tracks. And, you get the first one, you get the hits, but I like this one because you get the deep cuts on it. So this one here, very much for, the hardcore fan who knows all the hits already and wants to listen to something different. If you're just looking for the greatest hits, a lot of that is on this one here, but I think you got to have both of these together. So anyway, let's take a look at this. Front cover, there's the album art of this. I am going to show you the vinyl one here in just a minute, so you'll get a better look of that. Here's the inside of the CD. The back of the booklet itself is the same as the back side of the CD there, but you get that image underneath the CD, and I always like it when you get a little something different under the CD. Cover again. And you get a great band photo in here. The first volume of this had old photos of Mike Tramp and did not show the band, although it's about the same guys in it. Cool shot there too, or cool logo, I should say. And you get the other 2 guys playing on this release, some more art and stuff like that. But appreciative that we not only got some cool album art with this, we also got shots of the band in it. And there's so many releases today that you don't get that. You just get lyrics, and I don't really understand it. If you're going to put out the physical release for us physical release fans, put some band photos and stuff in it. So, as I said, vinyl version, we can really, really see the art. I have to say, I'm always jealous. I am a CD guy, but whenever I get the LP and I see the beautiful art up big like this, I always go, well, I know why I would be a vinyl guy if I had grown up with that back in the day. And the back side of it there, and you get the side A, versus side B kind of thing, which, is always a little different. And I've talked about that before where, the CD, it's just 10 tracks in a row. But on an LP, you've got different first and last songs on each of the sides, and that, of course, gives you a different flavor. And then we pull out the sleeve of this thing, and you get that really great shot of the band, and they just look cool. I mean, I love seeing these guys. Like I said, I hope that they record an album of new original material after this. Of course, I'll take a one more volume 3 of the Songs of White Lion before they do that. And there's the back side where we get those individual shots done like that. So you get all the same stuff, just put together in a different way. Always interesting to see how the LP layout is versus a CD layout. So I love being able to compare them together the way that I'm doing here in this one. All right, so bottom line on this review, a new album by Mike Tramp, in my opinion, is always going to be something to celebrate. I've been a longtime fan of his, and hearing his voice, as I said, is like a nostalgic throwback. It's like a good old friend, kind of a thing. And so anytime I can hear him singing something, I'm going to love it. But hearing him redo some classic White Lion songs, it really surprised me. I didn't expect them to be as good as they are. I compare it kind of back to this one here, where I enjoyed this one back in the day, but I don't go back to this all that often. But since the release of Volume 1, I've pulled this one out a lot. And so I expect that over, the next few years or so, I'm also going to be pulling this one out. And the fact that I've now got 2 to play means I'm not going to be wearing either one out. I'm going to be able to balance them, which is going to be very nice, And as I said, you've got one that's got the hits, and you've got another one that's got the deeper cuts. And so all of that together makes for a very nice thing. And, getting that new fresh coat of paint on these White Lion songs, I really hope that it helps shine a more classic light on the band, because I don't think they're given enough due as they should be. Vito was an amazing guitar player, and the lyrics and the songwriting from Mike Tramp and Vito together there was a very interesting thing, and much different than a lot of their contemporaries at the time, so having a new light shown on White Lion, I think is a good thing. It's not just a greatest hits, it's not just a live album. There's something new and fresh about this. And for me, that is really good. And I highly recommend this for all White Lion fans to go check out Volume 2. If by chance you have not already checked out Volume 1, check it out. It doesn't preclude checking either one out. Definitely go check out 2. But Volume 1, Volume 2 are up for grabs. And so this one here, August 23rd, mark your calendars. You're going to be able to go get it. Thanks again to Frontiers Records for putting these releases out. And of course, Mike Tramp, man, for deciding to do this. He is going out on tour as Mike Tramp's White Lion, so you are going to be able to check him out performing these songs with this band. And if you really want, he will come and perform in your living room. So you can check on his website with his booking agent about special shows like that if you are up for that sort of a thing. But all in all, there you go. That is my review of the brand new White Lion, or Songs of White Lion, I should say, by Mike Tramp, that comes out August 23rd. Let me know your thoughts on it, how much you're anticipating it, and which songs, if you're like me and you love the deep cuts and that sort of stuff. And then after you get it, also let me know what you think of it. But right now, the song Lights and Thunder is out there streaming. You can check that out and get a feel for this album. But I hope this review here helped, whet your appetite and excited you enough to be able to go out and pick it up. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.